With Dragonflight comes 4 new major factions, and today we're going to take a little bit of a look at the Dragonscale Expedition, a faction that is devoted to treasure hunting and uncovering the mysteries of the Dragon Isles. We will cover where they're located, why you should be leveling them up, and what some of the best methods are to do such. Now, the Dragonscale Expedition are located in the southern part of the Waking Shores, and they occupy the Dragonscale base camp. It is here you'll find Pathfinder Jeb. He's your vendor for all your exploration tools. There's Cataloger Jakes, where you'll be turning in all your reputation tokens to, and Boss Magor, who is the keeper of many profession recipes and patterns for all of the professions out there. There is, of course, also the usual innkeeper and flight masters for your convenience. Now, after becoming acquainted, you might quite quickly, and correctly, be asking, well, why? What is the benefit of leveling up these factions, especially if there's not really much power gain to be had? Now, well, firstly, I would kind of like to say, sure, there isn't any directly powerful pieces of armor or weapons, but there are some very powerful profession-related items to be had. With at least 20 profession patterns and recipes to be unlocked from leveling this, most of your serious crafters out there are going to want to get their hands on most of these. The crafted goods, where the pattern is not just simply handed to you by a trainer, usually becomes the more profitable items, really good for keeping that gold total above 0. Secondly, I have found that whilst leveling this faction, it becomes an incredible resource for Dragon Isle supplies. This is a currency not too far different from Anima. Dragon Isle supplies, they're the primary currency for many items, cosmetics and unlocks throughout the whole of the Dragon Isles, and I do suspect that players will be in quite short supply of these until quite later in the expansion. And finally, and most importantly, it's actually quite fun. There are a few little mini games that you unlock at various Renown levels, and this goes a long way to help keeping the world content feeling fresh and exciting for those people who choose to play this game for an extended period of time. But of course, if you're watching this, then you probably already have your own reasons to be leveling them up. So let's take a little bit of a look in more detail about exactly how that works and some of the more efficient methods in doing such. Now, before we dive in, I just want to give a real quick shout out to my patrons. It's your support that helps keeping me making this content and allows me to do what I love for a living. In return, I give you access to some private Discord channels for random World of Warcraft related discussions, my full trade skill master setup for gold making in the game, and some early access to the latest guides and informations. Big thank you to you all. Now back to the video. There are 25 Renown levels to be had, with various unlocks along the way. Some of them are cosmetics, some of them are little mini games, and there's some profession recipes and materials to be had as well. There's going to be 3 basic ways to gain reputation with the Dragonscale Expedition. You're going to be doing side quests whilst you're leveling. You're then going to be looking at doing some world quests once you reach level 70. And of course, the big feature here is going to be the treasure hunting. Now, since your side quests and world quests are really only going to get you so far, if you are looking to level this faction in a sort of speedy and efficient way, you really are going to have to devote some serious time to treasure hunting. And this is where most of the focus in this video is going to be. At Renown level 2, you unlock the ability to find and collect expedition scout packs. These are dotted all around the Dragon Isles, and you'll often stumble across these whilst questing and competing in other activities. Whilst looting the scout packs doesn't give you the reputation directly, it's your hope that the contents will. The main item you're going to be hoping to get is a Dragon Isles artifact. These can be handed in and are worth 25 reputation each, and you can hand them in to the vendor Catalogue Jakes back in the base camp. For the early Renown levels, this is going to be your #1 way of gaining reputation to them, but due to the scarce nature of these packs, in time we might start to see the assistance of add-ons such as Handy Notes or even Gathermate being really helpful to highlight the spawn locations of these. But that said, at the time of recording this, the add-on developers are still playing catch up, but I'm quite sure that once the game goes live, there'll be a good solution out there. Now, once you've been able to hand in a bunch of these Dragon Isles artifacts, and you've cleared out all of the side quests and world quests, you should hopefully be around Renown 5 at this point. This is where the progress really starts to speed up. It starts to snowball from here. Renown 5 unlocks your ability to both find and loot buried treasures. Now, these are hidden in select areas of the map and are hidden in disturbed dirt piles. Now, unlike the scout packs that are scattered all over the zone, these tend to be clustered in small locations. mostly within the Waking Shores, but I was also to find some good spawn locations for these up and down the rivers in the Anaran Plains. You are though going to need to purchase a little item to be able to loot these, a small expedition shovel. Now these have a limited amount of uses on them, so make sure you stock up on a bunch of these before you head out treasure hunting. They're sold for a small amount of Dragon Isle supplies and can be picked up from Pathfinder Jeb back at the base camp. Let's though take a minute just to talk about some of the other loot that you might have started to find from either the scout packs or the dirt piles. Now of course we understand the basics for the artifacts, you turn them in for the reputation, and you also will have an understanding of the Dragon Isle supplies being the main expansion currency, but you may have also stumbled across a few Primal Chaos. Now Primal Chaos is going to be one of two very important soulbound crafting reagents for Dragonflight. Practically all the high endgame crafted items are going to require a whole bunch of these to make. 40 to 50 in most cases, but it could often be even more. You can also take 100 of these and convert them into a Primal Infusion. This becomes an optional reagent that can be used when crafting to increase the item level of crafted gear even further. Now, with this being soulbound, the thought is that somebody requesting a crafted item via the new work order system is probably going to be expected to provide some, if not all, of these Primal Chaos so that the crafter can go away and make that item. This is going to put a lot more emphasis on the buyer to be sourcing and supplying materials, and for the crafter to be supplying the expertise to make a good quality item. This is a big change for World of Warcraft players, as up until now, practically all of the hard work has been placed on the crafter when it comes to making crafted items. It's going to be quite interesting to see how all of this plays out and whether the player base takes kindly to this sort of switch up in responsibility. All that said though, this might very well result in the majority of the player base trying to hunt down a steady stream of these Primal Chaos, and treasure hunting with a Dragonscale Expedition might just be that. Finally, we should also note that there's a good stream of just grey vendor trash that comes from treasure hunting, which realistically shouldn't be discounted, as my results tended to leave quite a nice healthy amount of gold once I'd vended all of this. Now at this point, it's pretty much a simple rinse and repeat from this point on. You find treasures, you get rep tokens, you hand in those tokens. You could in theory from here do nothing else but grind these out all the way to max renown. But there are some nice little quality of life unlocks a little bit further down the renown tree, as well as some mini games that can provide some reputation to offer that little bit of diversifying when leveling. Now at Renown 7, you unlock the rock climbing world quests. These have you scaling up a rock wall, trying to carefully manage your grip as to not fall off, collecting treasures as you go. Upon collecting enough treasures, the world quest is complete and you can move on and do other things. Additionally, at Renown 9, you unlock the cataloguing world quests. This is not too dissimilar from Pokemon Snap. You drift down a river with your camera in hand and you're attempting to take some of the best photos you can of creatures in the zone. The better the photo, the more points. Once you have enough points, you win. Congratulations. Now both of these are little side activities that will also be offering you some reputation, so you may choose to do these to help break up the constant treasure hunting. I should also probably point out that there are these ancient way gates that you can unlock. Now, unfortunately at the time of testing, these were not implemented, but if the name is anything to go by, it's possibly going to be some fast travel system for the Dragon Isles. This is going to be a really good reason to level this faction up, but let me know in the comments down below if I'm right or wrong about this. Now the lion's share of your effort is clearly going to be placed in treasure finding, so it's actually quite nice that they have implemented some quality of life improvements the further you progress down the renown tree. At Renown 7, you actually unlock what's known as the Expedition Supply Kit. This is not too much unlike the Box of Mysteries from Torghast, and it acts as a further little mini progression tree for the faction. Most of the unlocks, to be fair, are to the benefit of the rock climbing and cataloguing world quests, but one that is of great interest is the Anomaly Detection spell framework. This is an ability that will allow you to be able to see all of the treasure through the terrain, and it will also mark their locations on the minimap, with the only drawback being that this is on a cooldown and it currently only lasts for 30 seconds. But use this with your dragon riding. Hop on, zoom about, find a bunch of treasures while it's active, and then spend the cooldown running around collecting them all. But the biggest quality of life tool, and arguably one of the strongest reasons to level this faction first, is unlocked at Renown 21. This is the Expedition Metal Detector. Now of course, by this point, you've probably got many of the treasure locations memorized, but this not only has a much longer duration than the anomaly detection spell framework, but it also has the ability to spot the other major factions' treasures. The other major factions in Dragonflight are also relying on some sort of artifact treasure type hand-in for reputation, but from early testing just at a much slower pace. But if you get your hands on the metal detector early, being able to spot all of those treasures makes this a really powerful tool in your toolkit. So there it is though, boys and girls. That's the Dragonscale Expedition. You've got it leveled up. You've acquired yourself more Dragon Isle supplies than you know what to do with. You've looted a bunch of Primal Chaos for all of your crafted gear demands. You've unlocked your fancy looking Dragonfly mount for the completion. So now there's realistically only two things for you to do. Continue grinding reputation to get those Paragon rewards because, of course. And secondly, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, boys and girls. Now go check out my Patreon. Peace.